today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the best players to invest in before the NBA playoffs. Now, the NBA playoffs are right around the corner. At the end of next week is the end of the NBA season, so there's going to be a lot of great investments, and I'm going to be breaking those down. But before we get into that, I did want to say a little bit about our membership program, because all of our tiers in our membership program have been on fire. Our ultra high-end membership program, which is $10,000+ cards, has been doing exceptionally well. One of our great investments was that on August 22nd in our ultra high-end report, our team had recommended our members to buy up Joe Montana's 1981 Topps in a PSA 10 for under $45,000. If we look at that right now, the current last sell was at $95,000. Before that, there was a sale at $103,000, and before that, a sale at $85,000. So if we average that out at around $95,000, all of our members who bought these got more than a 2x return and around a $50,000 profit. So a lot of our members have been licking their fingers with a lot of profit across all of our membership tiers. So if you would like to join in on the program, click the link down below. I definitely think the next 6 months, we're going to see some great growth in a lot of the picks we have recommended. So if you would like to join in, link is down below to sportscardsinvest.com. Without further ado, we are going to go ahead and hop right into this video. So essentially, I wanted to break down a few different things before we get into specific players. So firstly, it is all about expectations. We saw that last year. We saw that years before. If you're expected to win the championship, when you win the championship, your prices aren't going to go as crazy as it seems. And we saw that when Giannis won last year. It was kind of expected at some point that the Bucks had a great shot. And when they won, Giannis's prices stayed very steady, surprisingly. So essentially, what we've really learned from the last few NFL playoffs plus NBA playoffs, it's all about expectations. And if a team is expected to win, there is hardly any upside. And, you can essentially pick whoever you believe will exceed expectations, and those prices will go up the most. We saw Devin Booker's cards go up a lot last playoffs because the Suns weren't expected to be in the finals. So we saw so much more growth from the Phoenix Suns side than we did from the Milwaukee Bucks side. And that is simply because the Suns were expected to, or the Bucks were expected to do phenomenal, whereas the Suns were not expected to make the finals. So when they did, we saw prices go very crazy. So, you definitely want to understand what exactly is the expectation of the guy you're buying in, and what exactly do you think he's going to do to exceed those expectations. Me personally, I believe the Warriors' expectations are quite low right now, and that is why I see a great amount of upside. I think their ceiling is very high compared to their expectations. I think because the Warriors have not been playing that well recently, because they're still figuring things out, and because Steph Curry is, of course, injured right now, there's just so much uncertainty, and uncertainty causes buyers to back away. Buyers are not buying a lot of the time during uncertain times. And so I think at uncertain times, such as for these Warriors right now, who have ample talent to really compete in the West, I do not see them losing in the first round. I think when Steph returns, they're going to figure things out. They're going to go hard. They already have championship DNA. I think there's going to be a lot of upside to be had with the Warriors. I definitely think, it does depend who you're going for. I think Steph Curry is probably the most common investment to make for the Warriors. There are some dark horses that you can invest in case that they come out in the playoffs. We've seen Klay come out in the playoffs plenty of times before. He's definitely a very clutch player who shows up when his team needs him. I think there are some opportunities, a little bit more risky, but I do see some great opportunities with Klay's cards. But I think overall, the Warriors have very low expectations compared to what they can do. And a lot of the times we see more veteran teams, perform better in the playoffs just because they have a lot more experience than, for example, a young Memphis Grizzlies team that's getting a lot of hype right now. If they underperform in the playoffs, I think there's a lot of expectation right now around Ja Morant's Cards and the Memphis Grizzlies in general, and they're just quite young. So I personally see that a little bit too risky for me. I would rather bet on the old guys, the Warriors over the Grizzlies, and I think you're going to see more upside because there's more expectation right now for the Grizzlies than the Warriors. And I personally don't believe that to be true in terms of actual, performance. So I definitely think I'm a better on the Warriors over the Grizzlies. Everyone has their own kind of different expectations, what they think is going to happen. And I'm definitely, I'm not telling you guys to go one way or the other. I think if you have a storyline that you think is going to happen, where you think a team's going to exceed expectations, one of those examples is with the Celtics. I think, they're playing a lot better than where their prices stand right now. And I think people don't really believe in them and don't think they can compete in the playoffs because we haven't really seen them compete. I mean, besides that 1 year where they took LeBron to Game 7, I don't think we've really seen them on the cusp of making the finals or making that next step, taking that next step. And I think this year could be the year. So if it ends up being the year, if the Celtics, the East is kind of wide open in my eyes. I don't know. Of course, the Nets are kind of have the expectations on them to kind of make the finals at this point. It's the Nets and the Bucks that have the highest expectations. So I think that's where the least upside is. I think if a team like the Celtics or Bulls or Heat can sneak into the finals, that's going to cause prices to go wild. And especially for a young player like Tatum, I think their Celtics are not going to be knocked out in the first round. So if they can make it past the round, I think, you're going to see some great gains in Jason Tatum's cards. And for example, there's some other investments where even if you don't think some team's going to make the finals, you can see some great upside. And one of those teams that I'm looking at right now is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have been playing incredible. And I think if they could shock the world and win even one playoff series, they're definitely going to see some great price increases. I definitely think it's a good time to be looking at the Timberwolves. If they can pull off a series, we're going to see some great gains on Karl-Anthony Towns prices, possibly Anthony Edwards, possibly D'Angelo Russell. So I definitely think that is a very good buy. And then another thing is, as the playoffs go on, the teams that are left in the playoffs will receive a lot of attention. And we see that when, all investors currently at the beginning of the playoffs, they're putting money across all 16 playoff teams. So all money is being shifted across all 16 playoff teams. Say there are 30 superstars or stars on those 16 teams. So all investors' money for the playoffs that they're investing in is across all those 30 players. Now, when there's 4 teams left, when we're in the conference finals, there's only, say, 6 stars left, 6 investable stars. So when all investors are putting all their money into 6 players, their prices are going to do very well naturally. So I definitely think it's good to buy into those guys who you think are going to be in the conference finals. Because when they're in the conference finals, all attention's on them. A lot of demand is coming to their cards, and you could definitely see some big price increases, especially if it is a dark horse team that is able to pull it off. I think this year more than ever, it's a very unpredictable playoffs. It's very tough. A lot of the times, for example, when the Warriors and Cavs had that run, you could predict the Warriors and Cavs making it far, or at least making the conference finals. This year, it's all up for grabs. The Lakers, are probably not even going to make the playoffs. The Nets are in the play-in game. And those two were expected to make the finals before the season started. So I think there's a lot of unpredictability right now, a lot of opportunity. If you can catch a team that you think can make the finals in either conference, and they're not expected to. And obviously the Warriors are an example. There's a lot of different examples, the Celtics, the Bulls. It just depends on who you believe in. But if you can catch one of those teams, you can make a killing during these playoffs. And I personally, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm putting a lot of my money on the Warriors. I think they've got the championship DNA. The West is quite wide open. I think the Suns are really their biggest challenge, and I think there's a good chance that the Warriors can plow through them, possibly in 6 or 7 games. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to be a matchup that draws a lot of attention and it's going to cause a lot of price increases on, the Warriors side, especially. So for Steph Curry, I'm personally going for his Bowman, just to, keep it transparent with you guys. I think this is going to be a good buy. I definitely think overall we're going to see some good price increases during these playoffs, and whoever you bet on, I wouldn't even call it a bet, because a lot of the times if expectations are low, if a team gets knocked out and they were expected to get knocked out, prices don't even really decrease much. So I definitely think it's a good time to be buying up for the playoffs. You don't have that much time, but I think it all depends on who you believe in. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you would like to join in on the membership program, link is down below to sportscardsinvest.com. Other than that, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Hit that subscribe button for us. Let's go ahead and get to 50,000 subscribers. But other than that, I'm out. Peace.